Matthew chapter 21. As he was approaching Jerusalem, he arrived in Bethphage, beside the Mount of Olives. Yeshua sent two of his disciples ahead, and had told them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, tell them, the Master needs them, and he'll send them here at once." This all took place in fulfillment of what the prophet had spoken when he said, "Tell the daughter of Zion, your king comes to you, humble and riding on a donkey, along with a colt, the foal of a pack animal." The disciples left and did as Yeshua had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt, and put their coats on the colt, and Yeshua sat on them. A very large crowd spread their coats on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowd that went ahead of him and those who followed him shouted, "Eloah, save the Son of David! Blessed is the one who comes in the name of Jehovah! Eloah in the highest heaven, save him!" As he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was shaken with commotion, and they asked, "Who is this?" The crowd was saying, "This is Yeshua, the prophet from Nazareth of Galilee." Yeshua entered Jehovah's temple and drove out those who were buying and selling in the temple, and overturned the tables of the bankers and the chairs of those who were selling doves. He said, "The scriptures say, 'My house will be called the house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves.'" Blind and lame people came to him in the temple, and he healed them. When the high priests and the Pharisees saw the amazing things that he was doing, and the children shouting in the temple, "Eloah, save the Son of David," they were incensed. They asked him, "Do you hear what they are saying?" Yeshua replied, "Yes. Haven't you read, 'Out of the mouths of children and infants you receive due praise'?" He left them and went out of the city to Bethany, where he stayed the night. In the morning, as he was returning to the city, he was hungry. He saw a fig tree along the way, and went to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. He said to it, "There will never be fruit on you any more." Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw that, they were astonished and said, "Look, how fast the fig tree withered!" Yeshua replied, "Assuredly, if you have unwavering faith, without doubts, you will not only do something like this to a fig tree, but also, if you say to this mountain, 'Get up and throw yourself into the sea,' it will happen. Whatever you ask for in prayer, you'll receive if you believe." When Yeshua came to the temple, the high priest and the elders of the people came to him while he was teaching and asked him, "By whose authority are you doing these things, and who gave you this authority?" Yeshua replied, "I have a question for you too. And if you answer me, then I will explain by what authority I am doing these things. Where was the authority of John's immersion from? Was it from heaven, or was it from men?" They deliberated among themselves and concluded, "If we answer from heaven, he will ask us, then why don't we believe him? But if we answer from men, we're afraid of the crowd, because they all consider John to be a prophet." So they said to him, "We don't know." Yeshua replied, "Then I won't explain by whose authority I'm doing these things. What do you think about this? A man with 2 sons went to the first and said, 'Son, go and work in the vineyard today.' He replied, 'I won't go.' But afterward he changed his mind and went. He went to the other and told him the same thing, and he replied, "Yes, master, I'll go," but he didn't go. Which of these two did what their father wanted? And they answered, the first. Then Yeshua said, "I am certain that tax extractors and prostitutes will enter the kingdom of Yehovah before you do. John came to you as a role model of righteousness, and you didn't believe him, but tax extractors and prostitutes believed him. And when you saw this, you still didn't change your minds and believe him." Here's another analogy. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard, enclosed it with a hedge, and dug in a wine press and built a tower. Then he leased it to sharecroppers and traveled abroad. When it was time to harvest the fruit, he sent his servants to the sharecroppers so that they could collect his share of the vintage. The sharecroppers grabbed his servants and beat one, stoned another, and killed another. So he sent another group of servants, more than the first time, and they did the same thing to them. Finally, he sent his son to them because he thought, "Surely they will respect my son." But when the sharecroppers saw his son, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Let's kill him and take his inheritance." So they grabbed him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. Now when the owner of the vineyard comes, his father, what will he do to those sharecroppers? They replied, "He will utterly destroy them and lease the vineyard to other sharecroppers who will give him his share of the harvest." Yeshua asked them, "Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? That is from Yehovah, and we see it as amazing. That's why I am certain that the kingdom of Yehovah will be taken away from you and given to people who will produce fruit. Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken, but anyone it falls on will be ground into powder." When the high priests and the Pharisees heard his analogies, they understood that he was talking about them. They wanted to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd because they considered him to be a prophet.